Hey everybody, glad you're still following along there. This is actually an unplanned video, but I was doing some experimenting while I was letting the upper pad harden up there and season up a little bit so that I can deal with and not worry about it cracking and everything. Remember, there's a pad at the bottom, there's a huge 5.5, 6-inch pad, got the block work, and then there's a 3-inch pad at the concrete at the top to mainly just deal with support for everything that's going to go up there on top of it, which is a Perlite pad and all the bricks for the oven, yada yada yada. But what you see here is not a drink fest, even though in the famous words of one of my favorite dudes, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. This is an experiment on coming up with a combination of perlite mixture that will hold together and hopefully not require additional bags at $75 each and a 2.5-hour one-way drive up to Charlotte to get pure absolute refractory mortar. All right, I got 12 bags right now, and I'm hoping that I can use those just for the bricks. All right, if there's any left over, then I don't know, I'll probably keep some in a safe container, and I'll probably make some with the perlite that's going to go on the coating, all right, the rendering. Well, what do we got here? All right, we've got different mixtures that I've tried, and it's helped me to decide what am I going to do and how am I going to do the pad that the actual oven dome is going to be built on. In this first container, I have mortar mix, not cement, there's a difference, mortar mix and perlite. This is a little block of mixture of perlite and pure refractory mortar mix. Nothing else, just those two items. This is a combination of refractory mortar mix, perlite, and a little bit of sand. Okay. This is a mixture of nothing more than perlite and Portland cement. Big bag of Portland cement. This is a rendering of, or rather a combination of perlite, Portland cement, and an equal amount of sand, and I'll tell you how I did this. Okay. And then what we've got here is perlite that has been washed, and I'll talk about that in a second, Portland cement, and sand. Now what I mean is perlite that's been washed. A lot of perlite that you will get will have to seems what to be like a white chalky coating, okay? And if you just do it in your hand or swish it around and you drop it down, you see your hands are going to have some white dust on it. I have no idea what it is. I've tried to find out. Nobody knows. Nobody can tell me. That's what you learn when you research, okay? But I have, on all them hundreds of videos that I've seen on building one of these things, I did hear one guy say that he decided to wash his perlite. So he put it like in a big screen, washed it up, and washed some of that stuff off, and then went ahead and used it. Necessary? Don't know. One of the reasons for this experiment, and to go along with why I want to choose what I want to choose to do my pads. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get rid of the camera here aiming at me. I'm going to rearrange it so that I can cut these open one at a time and we can examine all the way around. We're not going to have to do that one for this one. This is the Portland cement and the, no, I'm sorry. This is the refractory cement and the perlite. And this is how well that came out. glob at the bottom, that was on top. Now how did I mix these? All of them were mixed exactly the same way. You know, they're always saying add 1 part to this, 2 parts to that, 3 parts to that. Okay. Well, I didn't want to waste, obviously, a lot of stuff to include this expensive refractory mortar mix. So I got a shot glass. Do I own a shot glass? Yeah, I own a bunch of them. Okay, so I took 4 shot glasses full of perlite. Why 4? You're going to hear everybody on the internet dang near say that they use a 5-to-1 mixture of perlite and Portland cement. 5-to-1. In other words, fill this thing up 5 times with perlite, put it in a container, fill it up once with Portland cement, put it in a container, mix it all up. You want to mix it dry because you try to mix it while it's wet. Oh, Lord. So mix it up all while it's dry. Get your dry ingredients together. It's like cooking in the kitchen. Get all your dry ingredients together. Then slowly add your water and get it to where it's a consistency of definitely not soupy. Oh, Lord, not soupy whatsoever. You want it where it barely sticks together in holes. Like you can glump it, throw it up near, and then catch it again, something like that. But you definitely don't want to use a lot of moisture in this, all right? So, it was, the reason that I'm going with 4 instead of 5 is if you look at the strength and the value. You have to look at the value of strength and the value of insulation, okay? So, if you go to like a 6-to-1, 6 of these of perlite, 1 of Portland cement, you're going to have a really high insulation value, but your strength value plummets. All right. If you go 5-to-1, your strength comes up, and your insulation goes down a little bit more. Now I'm going to go 4-to-1 for strength. Okay. I may go 4.5. Okay, maybe 4.5. But I'm definitely not going to go less than 4, and I'm not going to go a full 5. I want to kind of get a better balance of insulation value plus the strength. The strength is very important to me. All right. Having said that, one of the things I plan to do is to have probably a little bit thicker wall of rendering. Most guys are talking about 1 inch or so. I plan to go, I'm hoping to get 2.5 inches, okay? I don't know how difficult that's going to be. And, you know, I've sat here and I've told you, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then I get out there, and that was the plan. But any military guy, I'll tell you, how good's the plan? How long will the plan last? Oh, about 10 seconds after you start it. And then you have to adapt, and you have to overcome, as the Marines like to say. Love you, jarheads, my buddies. But you know, you got to be flexible. So there's some things I told you I was going to do first. I ended up doing them third. Whatever. You're going to have to do what works for you and what works best for you. One thing I'm running into. We all know I'm old, but I'm telling you, this summer seems to be a hot summer out here in North Kakalaki. North Carolina is experiencing a lot of rain and a lot of heat. And I'm out there just as the sun comes up. My neighbors are loving me. Of course, they know I'm building a pizza oven too, so yeah, they're being tolerant. I'm out there about 6:30, and generally I can't work past 10 o'clock. It is just, I am soaking wet. Heart rate's up into about 120. I gotta stop. I'm sorry, too old for this stuff, all right? So it's taking me a little bit longer to build this thing than normal, but that's what I have to deal with. All right, so perlite, mortar mix, no go. Ain't even gonna waste time to show you any more of that. Let me rearrange the camera, cut these things open, and then I'll pull them out. And there's a reason why I want to pull them out. I want to show you the bottoms of them. That's key. At least it's key to me, and we'll see what I'm talking about. All right, let me get the camera fixed. Take a look at these things individually. Now, one thing I didn't quite finish my thought back there. I said I used a mix of 4-to-1. And if I used sand, it was 4-to-1-to-1. The 4, okay, was the perlite. The one was either the refractory cement or the Portland cement. I mean, refractory mortar mix or the Portland cement. Let's get that, because there's a big difference between cement and mortar mix, I'm told. Don't really know, okay? Remember that now. I'm a novice on this. But this is just right here, nothing more than perlite and fire mortar mix, all right? If you'll look at the top, you can see where the top is like really loose, and you know, it's not loose, but I mean, it's not smooth. And I didn't work it very well, because if you remember, it's in a cup, all right? But check out the bottom. Here's the key thing about the bottom. Look at how almost glass smooth that is. What's my point in that, all right? And look at how white it is. I think that is the coating that's on the perlite, and I have, again, nobody can tell me what that is. I think that's the coating that's on the perlite, and it's all the water has seeped down, and this is about a 1/16 of an inch, probably just pure mortar mix, while the perlite up here at the top, even though they were all mixed, I took the 4 things of perlite, shot glasses, and the 1 shot glass of mortar mix, and I put it in a little ice cream plastic container, mixed it up with some water, and was very careful not to add too much water. I mean, I was adding a drop at a time almost, right? So everything was mixed exactly the same. So this is what that is, and I'm not wild about it. Okay, I think that's going to use a little bit more mortar mix than I need at $75 a bag. That's uncool. And I think, you know, the water is going to seep right on through there and not have a lot to bind with. All right, so what do we got next? Let's look at the next step using the expensive $75 a bag mortar mix. That would be this one right here. So let's take this bad boy out of the cup. Now, what do we got here? Here we have a 4-to-1-to-1 mixture. This is 4 shot glasses of perlite with 1 shot glass of high temperature mortar mix and 1 shot glass of sand. Look at how it seems to be a little bit more smoother up here. And like I said, I did them all the same. I just took a stick, a flat bottom stick, and beat the top down as flat as I could. All right. But look at the consistency, or what I consider consistency, with the sand. Let's look at them side by side. See the difference? Now, how is adding sand going to change the refractory mortar mix? Well, remember me, I'm the guy that gets on the telephone, calls the company. So I called Sackcrete again, got a rep, and I told him what I was doing. I explained how this turned out, and then I explained how this turned out, and I said, you know, what am I losing? And there was a little pause there, and he says, you know, I'd love to answer that question, but we don't do any kind of experimenting like that, and that's not how we intended it to be used, so I don't know. That doesn't mean you're going to lose something, but it doesn't mean you're not going to lose anything. It just means we don't look at it that way, so I don't really have any good information to tell you. Huh, okay. So I think this is the way that I'm going to go, okay, for the pad. Or let me rephrase that. Part of the pad. I'm only going to use this mixture on the part of the pad where the actual fire bricks will sit. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to do that anywhere else because I don't want to waste my, I'm not going to do the entire big pad with this kind of stuff here because I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to temperature-wise, and certainly that helps cost-wise, okay? So this is what I'm going to use just for the pad that the fire bricks sit on. All right, now, so what's the other thing we got? We have now got to look at, there we go, perlite and Portland cement only. This is what will constitute the pad that this is going to sit on, or to be more accurate, this one, okay? This is going to be a 3-inch pad, all right? This will set, to be more accurate, directly on the concrete. But 3 inches of this should keep a lot of heat off that concrete, all right? This, if I was going to use it, would be what the rest of the pad would be looking like, and what it would be composed of, which is, again, 4 perlites, 1 Portland cement. But look at how pitted that is. And I banged on this with a stick just as hard as I banged on this with a stick. All right, but you can see the difference. Now, what do we got? Okay, the next one we got is going to be the Perlite, the Portland cement, and the sand. I think you can see the difference. All right. You see how this is kind of like more filled in, less air pockets, less spaces. Now, I understand that sometimes the air pockets are going to give you insulation, but you don't want that much of an air pocket, I don't think. If there's somebody out there that knows something more about this, good Lord, put it in the comments as quick as you can, because I'm doing this next week. All right, so put it in the comments as soon as you can. But this is just pure, where'd it go? Perlite and Portland with some sand, okay? This is a 4-to-1-to-1 mixture. Now, just for grins and giggles, this is a 4-to-1-to-1, which is 4 perlites, 1 sand, 1 Portland cement. However, I washed the perlite. I simply put it in a food strainer, which I'm going to have to come up with another way if I decide to wash my my perlite. But I simply put it in a food strainer. Okay, this is the one we're talking about. And I washed my perlite, got that white hazy stuff off of it. Look at how it seems to the difference, all right? See the difference in that? Is that significant? Is that helpful? Is that harmful? Heck, I don't know. Do you? Let me know. Let me know what you think. And let me pull that back a little bit. So, this is washed perlite, Portland and sand. This is unwashed perlite, Portland and sand. All mixed with the same proportions, 4-to-1-to-1. All proportions put in a plastic ice cream container. Already ate the ice cream. Okay. In an ice cream container and mix until they're thoroughly mixed. And you got to be careful. You don't want to overmix it and crush all your perlite, because you can overmix your perlite. So be careful. Be gentle. And this is what we came out with. Now this is solid. This feels solid, but it doesn't feel or look, I don't know what's the word, congealed or as together as this does. So let me know what you think on that, okay? All right, so that's what I've been doing while I've been waiting for that pad to go on. I think it's really interesting, though. Of course, it sure is lengthening out the time. Well, just doing this lengthens out the time to make the whole build, to tell you the truth. And working only a couple hours a day. But it's interesting to me how smooth this is. Pure perlite. I mean, it's like 4 parts perlite, 1 part of the refractory. Obviously, that stuff just, boom, went down to the bottom. Makes you wonder though, if I'd washed the perlite. Well, I'm not going to waste it anymore. I think the sand adds something to it. I really do. So that's a no-go. And this is the way we're going to go when we start talking the pad for what the cooking bricks go on. This is going to be the actual fire pad. I just wish that Sakrete had done a little bit more research, done a little bit more testing or whatever. But you know, if one of the things that got me a long time ago on 60 Minutes, I think it was during the Israeli war. Ann Sawyer was talking to this guy who was a contractor, and she says, Israeli tanks have reactive armor. Do our tanks have reactive armor? And the guy contractor says, no ma'am, it wasn't in the contract. And then she says, our Israeli tanks have something else. And she does this like 3 or 4 times, and every time he would respond, no ma'am, it's not in the contract. And finally she came up one more time and said, does Israeli tanks have XYZ? Do our tanks have XYZ? And he looked at her, you tell he was mad. He said, lady, you don't understand how this stuff works. It wasn't in the contract. I could make the damn tank fly with wings if it was in the contract, but it ain't. So, you know, over and over and over again. This is the one I'm going to use for the pad. This is pure perlite and Portland cement. Nah, don't think so. This is perlite, Portland cement, and sand. Close, but I like the washed. The looks of the washed perlite and the dadgum sand and Portland cement. Again, please, I don't have a lot of time in between setting this thing down, turning that camera off, and getting it online. Once it's online, I've got me probably less than a couple of weeks or a week. So if you're watching this and you know some reason not to do this, please let me know. Heck, let all the other people know as well. Until then, that's what I'm going to do. All right. Hope it helped you. Hope it taught you something. It taught me something. All right. We'll see you on the next video. Oh, yeah, $2 hook moments. Y'all know what's coming, right? Yeah, sure. Subscribe, okay? Hit a like, whatever. I understand that's important. But definitely subscribe if you want to figure out what we're going to do. I mean, we got a bunch more videos to do on this build, and this is probably going to be the most extensive video covered build there is out there. So go ahead and get it done, and we'll have a good time together. All right. Catch you later.